This is the GA-5WB. Now this radio is in pre-sale at the moment. It's just about to be released by Radioddity, and they sent me this unit to have a look over some of the features. There is a GPS, there is APRS, there is Bluetooth programming, so you can use your phone to program this. Waterproofing, IP67 waterproofing, 2600 milliamp hour battery, USB-C charging here on the back. As I said, IP67 dust-proof, waterproof, so you've got here these seals around the side of the radio. All of the buttons are all sealed as well. And apparently, I haven't tested this, but the Bluetooth app also supports you talking or using your phone as a microphone to be able to talk back to the radio. It's very ruggedized. It's got the screw on here connection, so you actually can't undo this easily for programming. So you need to undo the screw to do that. That's to keep the waterproofing. Just a normal antenna as well, normal whip antenna, SMA here that you'd expect on those radios. Here it's got a light here on the front. This is not an LED flashlight. This is for indicating transmit and receive. There's a GPS icon here, so I think that there's a GPS receiver that sits underneath the case here. The battery pops off relatively easily there, so 2600 milliamp hours, 7.4 volts. It came in this box. There isn't an awful lot more that I got with this, but again, this is kind of like a prototype-ish type version. Came with a USB-C charging cable. So the USB-C here is on the back of the battery, so there's no programming via the USB-C on the radio, but you can accomplish that using the phone. Belt clip, so just all the normal standard stuff. So if we go and fire this up, full disclosure, when I got this radio, I did have some problems. I couldn't get a GPS lock here on GPS status, looking for location. I'm downstairs at the moment in my shack, so I don't really expect the GPS to get a lock down here, but yeah, the compass wasn't working and the GPS wasn't working. I had issues with the app on my phone. It was not pairing properly and the app kept crashing. So I reached out to Radioddity and they said try reinstalling the app. That didn't work. So I tried a couple of other things, and eventually what I had to do is I had to come into the radio here because I had been playing around with it and doing a few things. I had to restore it to factory default settings. Once I did that, all of a sudden everything worked. So if you do get the radio and you think that it's doing funny things, then sometimes a factory reset is your best friend. So compass here, I actually haven't calibrated this since I did the reset, but I have had it working. Please put it on a level surface, press OK. Now it says to move the radio in a figure 8 pattern to calibrate the compass. We'll try doing that, and there we go. The compass is working now. I can move it around and it's changing bearing. I think that's north. Is that north? Yeah, that's north. I think if you hold down star, you can switch between VFO, yes, and memory mode. So here, let's put in 146500, which is our call channel, and we're good to go. If I go to menu now and radio settings, this is where you can switch certain things on. So dual watch, so you've got your dual watch. You can also save it to a channel. So I've saved the APRS, national APRS frequency here for Australia in channel 1 because I've been experimenting with that. But you might want to do some other channels. I wouldn't go in and program using the radio itself. I would go in and use the app, and we'll have a look at the app a little bit later on because there's some pretty cool features, especially for the APRS on there. Scan, talk around, power. Here you can put in your offsets as well. So you can put in auto offsets, or you can customize it if you want to as well. Squelch level, let's talk about that for a minute. So I noticed that the squelch level has quite a few settings, and if I just turn up the volume, so the volume here is adjusted and it is a slider like this. If we go and you can hear the beeping, where are we going? Radio settings and squelch level. You can adjust the squelch level up it doesn't really give you a setting. I think maybe it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep, so it's about 10. Leaving it at 1, I haven't really heard the mute open up around here, so that's okay. TX time limit, you can change how long you want to transmit for before it times out. So there's all this stuff in here, which is the normal things that you would notice. Something that is a little bit annoying with this radio is the digital pot for volume. If you turn it all the way down to the lowest setting, which is there, it's still too loud. And if you go there, that's muted. So you can't go any lower than that. So here's a good example here. I've just got it on FM radio on the local station. If I turn it up to the minimum volume, now my microphone is sitting on me, so there's a little bit of distance here, but if I turn that up to minimum,
you could have dogs out in the office, but
so you can hear that. That's minimum. That's minimum volume.
Are you real estate agents?
No, we're not.
So that's still pretty loud. If I turn this up,
Here in the Mornington Peninsula, what do you think?
that's half volume. That is very loud. That is almost uncomfortably loud.
Okay, what about their responses gave chiropractic?
If I go even higher,
The chiropractor that I used to go to used to bring her dog to work and it would sit under her desk.
Okay.
Dakota and Emma, do we have a pair of chiropractors?
so that is very, very loud. So yeah, maybe something needs to be changed in the software so that it's not quite as loud. I mean, one thing that is good to see though is that it's got a really good speaker in it. That's definitely for sure. The other thing that's interesting about this is the noise that it makes when you press a button and also when you're receiving a signal. So let me just go to a simplex frequency here, and I'll put the microphone next to the radio and you'll hear what I'm talking about. So if you go into general and then into sound settings and tone, you can turn off those beeps anyway. Under general settings and then connection, this is where your Bluetooth connections are, and we'll go through pairing that to the phone. Signaling settings. So ID, I've just given this a name, this radio called Walkie Walkie. This is like a proprietary ID, I think, which is the radio's send ID, so you can go through here and you can check whether you want to send the ID, the radio, GPS, all that sort of thing. I'm more interested in the APRS side of things. So you go into APRS, I've just got a call sign here of VK7HH-12 just for testing. You can go in and edit the call sign in there if you want to as well. There's also the paths, so they've got all of the sort of standard paths, wide 1, 1, wide 2, 1. You can also go down to here and customize your path 2 if you want to. The passcode here, you can use an APRS passcode generator on the internet to generate a passcode for your SSID, so you can pop that in there and it will tell you if it is correct or not, so that you're ready to go. Under digital mode, usually the format will be BSS. I think that's the proprietary digital format that you can send from the radio. I haven't played around with it, so I just changed that back to APRS. Turned it to enable. Now there's no smart beaconing in this, so you have to choose a time. So I've just been testing on 1 minute. That's way too often. You'll probably want a couple of minutes depending on how fast you're going, or if you're using this for a tracker or what you're using it for. If you're using it for fixed, then you would just set it to 10 minutes and so that it beacons every 10. You can also select a digital channel so that it will only transmit when you're on that channel. So if you end up using it for voice or something like that, it's not going to beacon automatically on the voice channel. So I've just selected channel 1, which I've programmed in as the APRS channel. And that's about it. Now there were a couple of issues that I found. One issue is that when I did beacon, my radio picked it up, and I'll just demonstrate this here on the Kenwood. So if I go into digital mode, enable, and let's share location every 10 seconds. Oh, of course, it's not going to transmit because I don't have a GPS lock. Let me take the radio upstairs, get a GPS lock, come back down here so I could demonstrate this. Okay, so I just realised something. I'm not entirely convinced that this has a GPS built into it. I just sat upstairs waiting for a GPS lock and it didn't come. Now what I did was I paired it with my phone, and my phone is now Bluetoothed to the radio, and I'm getting a GPS lock down here on the bottom floor, as I would probably expect because my phone's pretty good with the GPS. So that's working now. So I'm not 100% sure that it's got a GPS in it or not, or whether it just uses the phone GPS. Either way, let's go back here now that we've got a lock, and we go back to our APRS settings. And for some reason, and this happened before, and I don't know why, for some reason, it's lost my call sign details and my APRS details. So I need to go and put these back in again. Put my call sign back in and it was good straight away. So I don't know why it does that. Maybe it's a software bug. This is an early firmware version as well. So this is running version 0.68-32 firmware, and the phone actually picks up what firmware version you've got, and I think it also can do updating over the air too. So let me go back and we'll go to APRS settings, and let's go and share location every 10 seconds, APRS format, watch on the Kenwood. And there we go. Now, there is one issue with this that I've come up with, and I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong. You might be able to point it out in the comments below. But when I transmit on APRS using this radio with my position, I get a uncompressed position error on APRS.fi. So I actually don't appear on the map. My Kenwood THD72 decodes it, my Kenwood TMD710 decodes it, my APRS Digipeater, that decodes and forwards it out, but for some reason on APRS.fi the packets are not showing up correctly. So I'm not sure why that is. So I fired up the app here, and basically on the radio, if I came into general settings, connection pairing, turn that on, and you'll see your device will appear up here in the top. So basically tapping on that, this brings up like a frequency list, and you can go through here. So these are all of the channels. If I go in here, and I think if I long press, I can go in and I can change all of the frequencies. I can also go in and change the receive subtone, the TX subtone, the power level, the bandwidth. I can disable transmit on that. Mute, I think that will turn that on and off as well. Talk around, allow scan. You've also got, interestingly, pre-emphasis and de-emphasis. So you can turn that on or off, which may potentially help or hinder APRS transmissions. Can adjust the power level here as well, so that's changing the power level on the radio, so you can see that's going from low power, medium power, high power. Now where this gets really interesting is under APRS. So if I tap on APRS, here's a list of all of the APRS stations that I've received since I've had this going, and a couple of earlier today, and it also shows you how far away I am from all of those stations. So this is actually pretty cool. If I go into the settings icon, this is where all of my APRS information is. So I've got the call sign and my SSID and the passcodes and stuff. You can also, appears like you can run this as an iGate. So you can actually enable the iGate functionality here, and you can gate to a server. So I've just selected Oceania there as well. You can also customize the server. Radio to internet and internet to radio, so you can gate both ways. So if anything's wanting to go from RF to the internet, you can turn that on, or if you want stuff from the internet to be gated out onto the radio, you can turn that on as well, or on or off. Receive messages via the internet, so you can turn that on and off as well, and you can set a receiving range. Share location, so you can share your location over the internet. So I think this portion here is the iGate. The next portion here is the tracking or the beaconing from the radio. So you can share your location over the internet or RF only, which I think adds into the APRS path when you transmit. You can select the interval, which I've got selected here as 1 minute. You can also select the icon, so you've got all of the APRS icons here at your disposal, plus I think a few extras. So you can scroll up and down through those as well and pick a suitable icon. You can send the power, the voltage, the operating frequency. You can also send a custom message. So it's just said there, testing the GA-5WB. Not only can you view stations here, but you can also tap on them, and then you get up a message box here. So you can actually send a message. Now I'm sending this to a digipeater, which is in the middle of the state here. I don't expect this to reply. So the map here in the app is actually pretty cool. So you can see here, there's that APRS digipeater here in the middle of the map. This is everything that I'm hearing via digipeaters as well, not just directly. So I can tap on that and I can message that way too. I guess if you had a phone which wasn't really doing anything, or this will, I think, also work on an iPad, you could run this as a really easy, cheap gateway to gate APRS stations to the internet. If I go back into the radio settings again, you can go into here and you can turn up the volume up and down. Let's just turn the squelch level back up. So you can adjust the volume up and down. You can select which, if you want the device speaker up and running. You go into the general settings in here. You can adjust all of the settings, especially I like this one, which is mic gain. So you can turn that on a high, medium or low, which is good. Can go to headphone mode, voice or call, whatever that means. Keep headset connected, yep, sure, can turn that on and off. Tone, power saving mode, all these things that you can adjust using the phone. There's the firmware version. If I tap the firmware version, it says up to date. If you actually go over and you watch temporarily offline TO's channel, he showed using that radio on the air. I haven't worked out how to do it with iOS, so I'm not sure if it's an Android thing. If you can't do it with Android or iOS, you may also need to log in. I'm not logged in at the moment.
This is an audio test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 using the GA-5WB, the Radioddity on volume level 2, VK7 Hotel testing.
So I've got the mic gain set on to medium. Let's go and do a test using the parrot so we can listen to the audio out of the radio. VK7HH testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Audio level is normal. VK7HH testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's test the receiver first. So I'm generating here a frequency on 146,500 and I've just got it hooked straight up to the radio. Now if I turn this on, there is a 3 kilohertz tone. Now that's showing, that's minus 120 there, which it's receiving actually pretty well. It shows S5 and S4 and that's minus 124.5. That's pretty good. Just by ear, minus 122.5 or minus 122. I reckon that's about 12 dB cyanide just by ear. So if I now crank the generator up, we can see that S9 is minus 93 and all the way to the end is about minus 73. So this thing's a pretty sensitive receiver. It can receive right down into the noise, minus 122 there, minus 123, minus 124, minus 125, minus 126. And that is using a squelch level of 1. So if I turn that to 0, you could still hear it. And that's minus 130 there. Transmitting low power. Low power is 1.87 watts. Medium power is 3.75 watts. And high power is 5 watts on the dot almost. Okay, here's the test that everyone's been waiting for. I am running high power here on 146.500. Let's have a look here. That's our carrier. Let's now go to our second harmonic of 293. And that is showing as minus 20, so that's way down, which is excellent 439.5, our third harmonic is even further down into the grass, so that's looking good too. Now for you know what and giggles, let's go to 440 megs. There's our carrier. Let's go to, go to the second harmonic on 880. And that's way down in the noise too. Now I always like to just confirm my results. So I've got the Tiny SA here and measuring the harmonics. You can see that there is our fundamental. This is a sweep from 0 hertz all the way up to 1.3 gigs. So it's taken a couple of samples and a couple of sweeps. And as you can see there, you could just see the second harmonic, which is sitting below that blue line, which is sitting there for minus 16 dBm. So it is sitting at minus 19. So look at that, a nice clean radio. Well done, Radioddity. So obviously this is a brand new product from Radioddity. It's going to take some time, I'm sure, to refine things. But if there's any updates that I get made aware of, then I'll put them in the comments below. So I haven't dunked this yet in water. Apparently it is IP67, but I haven't put it in the water yet to do that test. I did though, however, do the test on this radio, which is a Waxon KG-Q10. This is a quad band radio, believe it or not. If you want to check out this video and also some other cheap handhelds, then there is a link that will appear on the screen.